Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You typically think of tires as hardworking and tough. But a new generation will have a sensitive side, too. Make that sensors on the side. Yes, Continental Tevis has introduced Smart Tire that will have 2 tiny sensors built into its sidewall. These mini computers measure how a car is affected by motions such as braking and cornering, and then relays this info back to the ABS and onboard computer. Result? Improved safety and performance. Wow! Strong, sensitive, and smart. Sign me up. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Thump, thump, thump. There go the strings of your heart. Or could it be the strings of your engine's heart? When I come back, I'll tell the story of automotive love and loss.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
That thumping may be more than your heartbeat. It could be, da-dum, your engine's bearings. Bearings are joints, like your hip socket. They allow pistons and crankshafts, your engine's hips and legs, to move in concert. And like our joints, bearings use a lubricant to ensure smooth movement. It's called engine oil. And if it's low, old, or gritty, it no longer cushions. Result, bare metal on metal. So avoid the heartbreak and expense of worn bearings. Treat your engine to regular oil changes. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. When it's raining, do you hold your breath as your car struggles to start or runs rough when it does? There's a simple way to locate ignition parts that act up with the weather, and when I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
In damp weather, if your car runs rough until it warms up, the problem might be moisture shorting out worn ignition wires. To troubleshoot, shops use a $25,000 scope, but you can use a $2 bottle of Windex. That's right, Windex. Here's how. With engine idling and AC on, spray each spark plug wire with Windex. When the Windex hits the bad wire, the engine will misfire. Next, spray the distributor cap, coil wire, and coil. With each part, listen and look for the engine to stumble or shake. When it does, you've found the culprit. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Trolls charge them to cross bridges. Banks levy them to use ATMs. But I know an automotive fee that's next best to free and good for the environment. When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Believe it or not, there's a fee that keeps two things green: your wallet and the environment. When purchasing a new battery for your vehicle, a core charge levied by the government is collected by retailers. So where's the good news? Trade in your old battery and the fee's waived. Or if you forget to bring it with you, just return it later and the core charge will be cheerfully refunded. An environmental bonus: used batteries kept out of landfills are collected from retailers and recycled. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Funny things, knock-knock jokes, Bill Cosby, vaudeville, and Ally McBeal. But car noises, which can point to serious problems, are no laughing matter. When I come back, I'll give you the punchline.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Why'd the chicken walk across the road? Because his car died after making a funny noise, like these. Click. Tapping, like a ballpoint pen. Clunk. Heavy metal-to-metal sound, like hammers on steel. Grind. Abrasive noise, like sandpaper. Groan. Low-pitched hum, like when you see your credit card bill. And growl. Guttural sound, like an angry dog. If you hear these noises, don't laugh them off. Tell them to your technician, or the joke may be on you. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning, folks. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So I should have never, you can't take it, you cannot unring the bell is what they say. I should have never broadcast that this is not my last show, but this is number 2 of the final 4 broadcasts for Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So last week was number 1 of the last final 4, and I mentioned that. And also on LinkedIn, I mentioned the fact that I will be retiring. And in the meantime, I've gotten so many calls and so many kind words from everyone, and I sincerely appreciate it. But I'll tell you, if I could unring that bell, I don't think, and John, you're laughing, our producer's laughing at me, smiling, because there's so many well-wishers, and I really appreciate that. But wouldn't you know that of all the shows, and I'd like to talk about retiring and the things that we're going on here, but people have said, what are you going to do next? That's the main question. What are you going to do next? And I will tell you, well, I'm retiring. I don't have any plans. My plan is not to plan, which is unlike anything I've ever done in my life. So there you have it. There's my plight. What do you do next? Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Folks, don't let a dead battery leave you stranded. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can test your battery free of charge. If it needs to be replaced, they've got your battery. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices. Every day, I'll be back. A 2013 Honda Accord came in the shop running rough, stalling, and a check engine light. The vehicle had originally been repaired by another shop. After a thorough diagnosis, we found the vehicle was generating a bad signal from the crankshaft position sensor. This seemed odd as it had just recently been replaced, but the scope doesn't lie. A bad waveform signal needs to be fixed. Our solution? A new crankshaft position sensor from Motorrad. A longtime leader for vehicle thermostats and caps, Motorrad now offers engine management products that are engineered to meet and or exceed OEM specifications. They're designed to perform under severe operating conditions and are resistant to extreme heat. We made the change, and that fixed the car. Motorrad engine management products are manufactured in Tier 1 OEM facilities with top quality qualifications. They undergo comprehensive 100% in-line and end-of-line testing to ensure uncompromising quality. Learn more about Motorrad engine management products and other Motorrad solutions at motorrad.com. New vehicles are nice but costly. In today's climate, many of us are holding on to cars and trucks longer than normal. If you have an older vehicle and are trying to keep it going for a long time, consider using Berryman B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator. B60 cleans and protects the crankcase and engine oil system on all gas-powered engines, including those exceeding 60,000 miles. Maybe you have a small oil leak from a gasket or a seal. B60 conditions and revitalizes seals and gaskets to help stop engine oil leaks. Berryman B60 contains zinc-based ZDDP and moly to fight friction, heat, and wear. Anytime you can reduce wear, you extend engine life. It also helps prevent sludge formation to maximize engine performance and life. It's safe for all gasoline-powered vehicles and also safe for use with catalytic converters and oxygen sensors. Try a bottle of Berryman B60 with your next oil change and help to stretch your vehicle's miles. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information about Berryman B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator and other great Berryman products. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with today's program. If you tuned in last week, you may already know that I am retiring. Today's show marks number 2 of the final 4 Bobby Likis Car Clinic broadcasts. So with that in mind, let's go directly to the phones. And folks, you can well wait until the last 5 minutes to call in, but I would advise you not to do so because we already have a bank of phones. We're going to open a second bank of phones that we have so that we can take more calls. So the number to dial, Millie will take your call at 888-227-2546. Let's take a call from Brad. Brad, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Hey, Bobby. Great to be here.
So what's going on with you, sir?
Well, I think you're pretty familiar with E30.
I am
and
that,
the
yes.
fact that all cars that are 94 and newer that are fuel injected will run just fine on E30. As a matter of fact, as you're aware, there was an E30 study done up in northeastern South Dakota. We ran over 2 million miles on vehicles that ran a comparison of the E10 versus E30, 3 tanks of E10, 3 tanks of E30. And we also ran 40 vehicles on data loggers that we actually monitored what was going on in the vehicle as far as clean fuel codes and whatnot. And you know what? Everything ran fine, not a single issue with any one of those vehicles running on E30, and the driver saved 2 cents a mile.
Well, to that end, Brad, and folks, that driver saving 2 cents a mile is under today's standards with today's gasoline prices, but it hasn't been but about 2 years where that would be 20 and 30 and 40 cents a mile. And Brad, to that end, this gentleman, of course, is very knowledgeable because he is in that industry and initiated a program where they actually offered E30 to all motorists, and they tracked this. How long did the program run, Brad, or is it still in place?
The program itself, the Glacial Lakes E30 Challenge, was about 9 months long, and now my understanding is that the governor of the great state of South Dakota, Kristi Noem, has advocated to use E30 in the entire state fleet. I'm not sure where that is today, but I do know that she's a big supporter and a believer of E30, and it works.
Well, I thought you'd like to know, and you may well know this, and folks, this is really very interesting. California this week declared a radical goal of only selling zero-emission cars by 2035. The state joins a list of 15 countries with similar environmentally focused goals. Now, I say that, and I'll share a little more information a little bit later in the program, but Governor Gavin Newsom made the announcement on Wednesday, just this 3 days ago, indicating the new goal and target. And just for that information, Brad, you may well know this, California represents 11% of all new car sales and is the largest populous state in the nation. And the governor says, okay, in 2035, we will not allow any new cars sold with internal combustion engines, and that means they're going all EV, and they're not by themselves. There are 15 countries around the world who have sworn similar goals towards zero emissions. For instance, Norway will phase out regular cars by 2025, which is right around the corner, with France and the UK following suit in 2040 and 2050, respectively. And Brad, I'll say that to this. Our friends at the Auto Channel, Mark Roush, who is the Executive Vice President and co-publisher of the Auto Channel. And folks, the Auto Channel is the largest independent automotive information resource on the planet. And Mark wrote a very special article, Brad, with regarding the upcoming California ban on the sale of new gasoline passenger cars and trucks starting in 35. And you can read Mark's insider article at the Auto Channel. Just go to theautochannel.com and then search for California bans gasoline. And to that end, what Mark is saying, and Brad, you're very familiar with Mark Roush, because you're in that industry. And what Mark is saying is, everyone keeps talking about 2035, 2045, 2050, about, cleaning up the air, which is what this is all about. So his article says, attention oil industry, California is banning gasoline-powered vehicles. You have one chance to save yourselves and come clean. And you know what he says? E30 and higher blends of ethanol we can do today. So for all of those, and if this and it rubs folks, some of you, even especially you boaters, if this is foreign to you or rubs you the wrong way, the mic is open today, 888 Car Clinic, and I'm not being paid to say any of this. I do it because I feel it, I know it, and I have some facts. And I've got 3 Saturdays to go. I can do any damn thing I want to do on these shows. And Brad, I'm going to tell you something. There's so many people that are against ethanol that I really got out of that fray because I fought the battle not only on the air, but at every place that I would go to. My friends would say, oh, here you're talking about that ethanol. And they would start to spout crap that they didn't know anything about. And so I said, look, enough is enough. But I will say this. Alcohol, folks, think about it. Ethyl alcohol, 200% grain alcohol, you can drink it because it's pure alcohol. The only way that it's turned into ethanol is when they being the ethanol plants, add gasoline, which denatured it. So that's how clean it is. Plus, alcohol evaporates at 174 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's impossible for any residue from any E-blend of gasoline regarding ethanol to come out the tailpipe. And Brad, all of this is so factual, and so I'm tired of fighting the myths. The myths are exactly what they are, myths, misinformation, uneducated and uninformed, not uneducated, uninformed folks out there. And Brad Brewer, folks, who's the gentleman that's on the air with us, is with the Great Lakes. And Brad, tell the folks where you live and where the Great Lakes is, just for those who might not know.
Well, for the northeastern part of South Dakota, about 4 hours west of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul. So I'm no longer with the organization, but it is a great organization and creates close to 300 million gallons of ethanol a year. And I'll tell you, they've got it going on out there, and they've got 4 plants now, and everything you said, Bobby, is actually true. You know, there's a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of, let's face it, the oil industry has a lot of money, and they're great at marketing. And you got the little guy, it's David versus Goliath, and keep trying to get our story out, and you know full well, it's all about market share. That's all it is.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I'll close with this. Gasoline is toxic. Gasoline is poisonous, and gasoline continues to pollute. And folks, don't take my word for it. Don't take Brad's word for it. Think about this. When you go through cities on the interstate and you see large walls, like going through Atlanta, you see large walls. Those walls that separate the interstate from communities, from homes. There are 2 reasons for those walls. Noise abatement is one of them. Pollution abatement is another, because it's a proven fact, Brad, that there's more cancer and more respiratory issues with people who live near high volumes of traffic, and that comes from gasoline, unburned gasoline, and that's what all the emissions are for. And quite candidly, it is the emissions controls on vehicles that cause more problems with the manufacturer, not the manufacturer, with the operation of those vehicles. Although the manufacturer is doing a hell of a job, cars are better than they've ever been made before, but you take a Ford diesel, it's a great engine. I wouldn't have a Ford diesel. I wouldn't have any Ford diesel. Why? Not because of the Ford, not because of the diesel, but because of the emissions that are it's like building a 5,000 square foot home and then putting a 30,000 square foot roof on it. That's That's the difference between the gasoline and the pollution and what have you. Brad, I want to thank you for your call and your friendship, and I want to congratulate you for all the good work you've done and continue to do after I'm long gone from the airwaves.
Well, thanks a lot, Bobby. It's been a pleasure being on with you today, and God bless, and best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend. And folks, that just kicks off one call, but we're going to take a lot of calls today. And when I come back from this break, we're going to go to New York and talk with John, who's got a question about a catalytic converter. And I'll share more information, gas prices, and other very interesting information. I'm Bobby Likis, your host. Likis, you're going to love us. Don't go away. Cooling system repairs, we've all needed them. But what happens when that local mechanic or your garage is miles away? Situations like this were made for K-Seal, a pore-in solution that helps stop cooling system leaks. Other sealers use sodium silicate, which can clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology designed to repair the leak without clogging. Tough times create the need to be prepared. Make K-Seal part of your emergency road kit. K-Seal is available nationwide at stores like Walmart. Check walmart.com for store hours and shipping options. As we kick off National Car Care Month in the midst of COVID-19, making sure your vehicle is road ready has never been more important. The Car Care Council remind you it's the perfect time for a thorough check of various vehicle maintenance items, like brakes, batteries, tires, cooling system, filters, headlights, and the exhaust system. Visit carcare.org to find out how you can best keep your vehicle safe and dependable. It's National Car Care Month. Are you car care aware? Learn more at carcare.org. That's carcare.org. Folks, remember this name, autobatteries.com. Autobatteries.com, courtesy of Clarios, is a fantastic site that tells you, number one, how batteries work, battery technology, how to choose your battery in case you need a battery. You just don't go out and buy any battery for your automobile, especially with the high demands that today's cars have with backup start-stop technology, backup cameras, multi-center stacks that have all sorts of electronics. Everything starts at the battery, no pun intended. Autobatteries.com also shows you how to install, how to recycle, how to test batteries, where to get a test for free, jump starting, just a host of information that you should know when you need, hopefully you won't, but when you need a battery for your automobile. Just remember, autobatteries.com. It's a fantastic site with information that every car owner needs to know. You need to go there, and you need to see for yourself and learn what it takes so that when you go into a service shop, should you need a battery, you'll know the right questions to ask. Again, courtesy of Clarios, go to autobatteries.com. That's autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Attention, everyone. As you said, as I said, as you know, the countdown continues. Today's show is number 2 of the final 4 broadcasts for Bobby Likis. If you tuned in last week, you already know this. Today marks the show number 2 of the final 4, and if any of you or anyone that you know are interested in bidding on all of our studio equipment, including the Center of the Automotive Universe Acoustic Systems Studio, you can go to BobbyLikis.com. And that's Likis. Just go to BobbyLikis.com and you will see the list. Podcasters, not-for-profit organizations, universities, churches, musicians, and dreamers. The equipment and the studio were all chosen by me, folks, and meticulously assembled, and each and every wire, XLR connector, cable, camera, the teleprompter. There's a teleprompter. I paid $6,000 for the teleprompter and a case to make it carry, and it's never been out of this studio, and it's been used very seldomly for television commercials. Even my host desk that I bought here has a special built-in sound acoustic behind it. If it weren't for the time that it's time for me to retire, I'd stay right here and have every Saturday for the past 29 years with you. Again, 10/10/2020 will be my final car show. All of the equipment and the main studio are being auctioned. You can go to BobbyLikis.com to see for yourself what our studio looks like, and perhaps you're considering podcasting. That's easy, using only a fraction of the equipment being offered. So pass that on to your friends. 10/10/2020 is the last broadcast. We will begin to disassemble the studio and the wire, and they're probably $4,000 worth of just cables and wires that aren't even being used, that are spares. Enough of that. Let's go to New York and talk with John. And folks, your call is important, so get on board. 888-227-2546. John, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you, Bobby.
You're welcome.
Are you going to retire from your shop too, or just from the show?
I sold the shop October 10, 2019.
Wow. You're going to go crazy not doing anything, Bob.
Well, now I mentioned that the first part. Now you're reading my mail, John. So last night I'm at dinner, and the night before I was at lunch, and the day before, and the day before. Ever since I've made this announcement, the number one question: what are you going to do, John? You know, in the words of the most educated individual, I ain't going to do nothing. Excuse my grammar, my wife would shoot me, but I am going to take a break, and I'm going to take my foot off the pedal, and I'm going to enjoy the ride, because I have for 29 years hosted this program, and for 49 years operated Northwest Florida's best automotive service shop. So I am totally liquidated and will be by the end of October and divested of all interest in all of those companies. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I know that as my friends have told me, well, you're not going to just sit back and do nothing. Right. But I want the option to sit back and do nothing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a good question, and I'll be able to answer that question after I give myself 6 months and what have you. In the meantime, I have a confession. I am currently, among everything else we're trying to close down, building a home office studio that will allow me to perform and produce podcasts when I want to. And what have you. So with that, I won't have any, I'll have my Saturdays back. I'll have my Friday nights back. And because, I've been a cheap date for Friday night for 29 years, because on Friday night, you don't go out anywhere because you got to be ready for this Saturday broadcast. My wife wants to do some traveling, and COVID aside, I will be doing some traveling. COVID even not aside, I will be doing traveling, because I'm just about up to here with the COVID, as are a lot of my friends. But anyway, let's talk about your catalytic converter on your Toyota.
So, do you believe that having a gallon of a varnish remover into the tank and then gas will help the catalytic converter?
I'm not sure I understood what you said. Would you repeat that?
A couple of shows ago, some guy called in and said that he heard Toyota said you to put a gallon of varnish remover into the gas tank and then fill it up with gas to clean out the catalytic converter in the Toyota. Do you agree with that?
No. I don't believe anything that anybody tells me that they read online or that Toyota says. My question, rather than my answer, is where did he get his information? And when I see the source of the information, then I will either give it credibility or I will trash it. So I will say this. There are fuel additives that clean out the carbon that we know is in all engines that comes from burned oil from the PCV system and the toxins that are left over in unburned gasoline, and that's what a catalytic converter burns out. So there are fuel additives that are non-damaging and non-abrasive to the catalytic converter. There are some that might damage the converter, but there are, like Berryman product, who's a sponsor and an advertiser of ours and a partner. They make a darn good product, and that product does not damage a catalytic converter. But what is it? What's the other alcohol? Not alcohol, but the name eludes me now. It dissolves. See. Oh, I can't think of the name of the alcohol. It's not isopropyl alcohol. Denatured alcohol. Denatured alcohol. In fact, I did a rant on YouTube about people saying, "Oh, you can put this chemical in the gas and what have you." That chemical dissolves the wiring insulation. You know, when they make an armature. Like copper armature in a generator plant or in an electric motor. Are you familiar with what that looks like?
Yes.
Okay.
Copper enamel wire, yes.
Yeah, copper enamel. If you use a chemical that they said and put it in the gas tank, it will dissolve the painted, whatever the paint they use or whatever coating, it will dissolve that. It will damage the fuel system. Would it clean it out? Yeah, it'd clean it out all right. It'd clean out everything that it shouldn't clean out and end up in the injectors. So I'm amazed. I'm a big fan and always have been. Well, not always. We've not always been anything. But for as long as I can remember, a big fan of white papers that are peer-reviewed white papers. So that means that when any individual, any learned, educated individual performs studies on subjects and brings those studies to publish, those studies have to be peer-reviewed by other people that don't have any dog in that hunt. In other words, they're not friend, they're not foe, they're fact finders. And therein lies the biggest issue that I have with the internet, with, I found online where I can fix my transmission by adding this chemical or by doing X, Y, and Z. The answer to your question, and I would say to that person, where do you get your information? And then I will do my due diligence, and then I will have an opinion. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's my philosophy.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby, just to tell you, I retired for 2 years, and I went back to work.
You did?
Yeah.
Quickly, what did you do, and what are you doing?
Electronics. I'm an electronics technician. I roll electronics. My background is that, so I retired for 2 years, and then I went back to work. People were glad to have me with all these friends that I have.
So let me ask you a question. How many days a week do you work, and do you feel like it's an obligation, or are you just enjoying the ride?
I enjoy back to getting to the group what I was doing before, electronics. I mean, work 5 days a week. Find a good company that's very good for me, and they're very good to me. I work. They ask you want to work. You don't have to work the overtime. You want to, fine. You don't. You don't have to.
Right.
So,
well, I'm certain that will come to me, and
also,
so
Bobby, I don't have to keep it. If I want to, I can walk out anytime I want.
Exactly.
That's the good thing about it.
Well, that's what I'll look forward to. Is I will find something that I enjoy doing, but after making payroll every Friday night for 48 years and 9 months in an automotive service shop, whether I had the money or not, I'm done there. And with regard to the radio, I will say this. I don't know of anyone, I take that back. I know of a few people that they're brainiacs. One is a rocket scientist, and the other is a
a local community leader that are, and neither are my age, but I don't know people my age that are still with it, that still are bright and quick and what have you. So the radio, the last 5 years, that's the reason that I've continued the radio program, because it keeps me on my toes, just like this California ban on gasoline. That's 2 day old, 3 day old information, and it's factual, and I know the pros and cons of that. And so to that end, that keeps me very active. And, we all have heard that, if you retire, you die within 9 months. We heard about that. I heard about that 30 years ago with Amway. Oh, you die in 9 months, you're dead, or whatever. There's some stat. Well, I'm sure that may be true. But I wonder if anybody ever said, well, gosh, he waited till he was 85 to retire, and it was time to die. So I don't want to wait till I'm 85. So anyway, hey, John, thank you so much for your call. Love you guys in New York.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you very much.
Bye. So now we're going to go to Jim in Mississippi. And Jim's been around cars all his life. He's been on and off Bobby Likis Car Clinic many times. Jim, before I turn the mic to you, we do have a hard break coming up. So when you hear the music coming in, we'll take a break, and it's going to interfere. But in the meantime, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Jim.
Good morning, Bobby. You made me mad, son. Almost 30 years of listening and talking to you, and you're going to run off and leave me. I'm a creature of habit, now I don't like change.
There's the music. There's the music. Well, wait. There's the music. So I told you. So I made you mad. Well, when we come back, you can just tell me all about it. You can rant all you like, but don't go away, folks. 888 Car Clinic. It's back to school time, and the Car Care Council has a 5-point checklist to make sure your vehicle is kid-safe and road-ready. First, check lights and wipers for visibility. Second, get an annual brake inspection. 3, check tires for under-inflation or excessive wear. 4, review tips for seatbelt fit and position. And 5, if your car isn't already equipped, consider installing a backup camera to help reduce the risk of backover incidents. Find more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules at carcare.org. We use PB Blaster for breaking free rusted parts, but now the Blaster Pro Straw makes it even better. But that's just one of the specially formulated products from the Blaster Corporation to fix, loosen, lubricate, penetrate, and conquer each job. There's Multimax synthetic lubricant, garage door lubricant, white lithium grease, and so much more. So don't bust knuckles, bust nuts with PB Blaster. Blaster products are available at a home, auto, or hardware stores near you. Always use Blaster products and work it like a pro.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but morning's knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org. automotive.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you in part by K-Seal. Folks, you can stop the unexpected cooling system leak before it stops you. You can find K-Seal at fine part stores like Advance Auto Parts. You can check the store website for hours and shipping information. And remember, if, heaven forbid, your cooling system leaks, your heater core, your radiator, even a head gasket, don't just seal it, K-Seal it. Let's go back to Mississippi and talk with our friend Jim. So, Jim, you said, Bobby, you made me mad. So I'm going to turn the mic back to you. You got to go.
Bobby, I've been listening to you for a long time. I'm 70 years old. Like I said, I'm a creature of habit. I let one man cut my hair. I let one man work on my car. I got one person I see for a doctor. I like them. I stay with them. And I feel like I'm losing a friend.
Well, just know that you're not losing a friend. Just know that the time that we've enjoyed together and the energies that we've shared and the stories and questions and solutions that I've tried to help you with, and even the information that you brought to all of the national listeners, where you tried different things and you expressed how difficult some were and the outcome, all those things we'll never forget. I had the privilege to speak at a funeral yesterday for the wife of my doctor who's long passed. His wife was 85 and passed, and the member of the I was treated like a member of the family, which I was, and what I said at the very end was that, and she called him the doc. Well, the doc. She all called him the doc. They met in New York, and her name is Helen Nass, and his name was William Nass, N-A-S-S. And I said at the very end that now she is with the doc. And so we will miss her, but we'll never forget her. So the same thing goes true for every person that I've spoken with and had the opportunity to interact with, and that's for you too, my friend.
Well, Bobby, I live out in the country. I spent 30 years of my life. When I'm out in the country, I'm just sitting here while you were talking. A couple of deer come walking up my front yard, went behind the house.
Wow, that's cool.
And this I love.
Yeah.
But I've been retired since 1999. I stayed 30 years in the oil field. And, Bobby, I was working 120 to 135 hours a week. This is no lie. I was looking for a day that I could retire. Like you said, told John a while ago, I'm looking for that day that I can retire so I can relax. That lasted about 2 weeks. I've been disabled now for 20 years, and I still work on my own cars, keep my property up, stuff like that. But I got a problem with this 2001 Town and Country. We'll talk business now. But you are, I may get you on these old pods and listen to you again. But this transmission is 2001 Town and Country. All right, it got to missing about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I gave the truck van to my daughter, and she had it put in the shop. And I told the guy that the coil pack was bad on it. Right. He replaced points. He replaced plugs and plug wires.
Right.
And it stopped the missing for a little while. Got to missing again. And you could pull that plug wire off that coil pack, hold that coil pack, it wouldn't bite you. You could speed it up, and it'd bite you. I changed that to coil pack. It runs like a brand new one. But while this thing was missing, the transmission got to where it didn't want to shift good.
Right.
And now it's in that solenoid, I believe.
No. Here's what I believe. I believe, here's what I know. The transmission module, the shift module that tells the transmission when and how to shift, and how long to stay in each gear, depending on the throttle and the load of the engine, all those inputs, driver demands it's called, driver demands. Whenever the driver demand is erratic, like the driver says go and the engine says go because you got a misfire, then the recipient, which is the onboard transmission module, says, what do I do here when I'm getting all these mixed emotions or mixed signals? So the first thing you should do is disconnect the negative side of the battery so that the body control module and any other module that has a connection to, which they all do, the onboard computer, wait for about 30 seconds and hook it back up. And what that will do, now it won't clear codes in an OBD2 car, but what it will do is it will give the opportunity for the transmission module and the ECM, the electronic engine control module, to relearn. And when you buy a new car, in fact, when you bought that van, if you read the owner's manual, it will tell you the first 150 miles the transmission is learning how you drive. And to that end, when I drive a new car, I'm always aggressive after it warms up, and within reason. I'm always aggressive because I'm trying to teach the transmission how to shift harsher and with more authority, because I like the high performance. So having said that, I think that's the first thing you should do, is to disconnect the negative battery and let that transmission chill out, and then let it come back to life and let it rejoin the body control module and the engine control module, and see if that affects the transmission before you do anything. If it doesn't work...
Well, I've done that on other projects. What I do, take a cable off, I switch key on, just purge electrical system. Take the cable off, turn the lights on, switch it on, leave it like that for about 10 minutes.
Well, guess
turn
what?
It all off, and back up.
You know what? That's a very smart thing for you to do, but here's something that's really even wilder.
Tell me about it. I'm listening all ears, Bobby.
Disconnect the negative side of the battery. Disconnect the positive side of the battery. This is the main battery.
Uh-huh.
Touch the two cables together.
You get an arc. Uh-huh.
Wow, why would you get an arc? There's no battery. You got it disconnected from the battery.
You got power stored in that unit.
Right.
Like I say, I'm a shade tree mechanic, Bobby, but I learn as I go.
And that will delete all of the stations and delete all the residual voltage without damaging. And then you hook up the positive and then the negative cable last, and that's where you go. Got to go, Jim. Thank you so much for your call.
I enjoyed it. You have a happy retirement, and I'll catch you when I can.
Well, I'll be here another 2 weeks.
All right, Bobby.
Thanks, my friend. Gasoline prices, national gasoline prices, $2.16. Let's go to Tim Scott in Alamogordo, New Mexico, who is our not a roving reporter. I would say he's a traveling reporter, because he delivers cars for dealerships, and so he knows darn well what the prices of gasoline are. Tim, good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
I'm just really fine, thank you. And thanks for asking. And how about yourself? And what's going on in New Mexico?
Very quiet today. The smoke is collecting between the mountain ranges, but it's a good day. We're all very blessed.
Good,
so.
good. Glad to hear that. And so. Not that I really want to know the details, but how's the COVID movement? Is that easing up out there? Face mask and all those sorts of things?
It's interesting. Face masks are required, but face masks aren't being very well worn, unfortunately. And then when I deliver, the dealers inside their showrooms, they all say they have to have it. And so you walk in, and few of them have it, few of them don't. But like Walmart, you have to have it to walk in the front door, but then you go inside, and I'm not one to confront anybody about it, wearing it or not wearing it.
Right.
But yeah. So
yeah. So let's get into the gas prices as time moves on.
So let's see. As of yesterday, it was weird because I paid $1.69 yesterday. And I ran into the, where was I going? I went somewhere this morning. I don't remember. It's already, but this morning gas prices jumped up to $1.77. So.
Wow. Well, that's strange.
So it's interesting overnight.
Well, they may have been tuning in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, and they say, "Hey, wait a minute, we're giving away 10 cents a gallon here." And it would not surprise me, because there's nothing. Well, I take that back. We don't know, So you had, like I said before, when the gentleman called about a catalytic converter, something you could pour in the tank, and where's the source of information? I don't know where the source of information would be, but I will tell you, it wouldn't surprise me if the gas station distributors
said, Alamogordo's had a free ride, for a year now. And and here's Tim Scott and Bobby Likis talking about how cheap gas is. Let's just add a dime, and people are still going to buy it. The same people are still going to fill up because it's still cheap.
Oh, yes.
But I still find that very interesting, and I'd love to know where that figure came from. And but I also know that you and I will never know where that figure came from.
No, not at all.
No. So I guess the point is, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. So I guess we can't dwell on that, but we can certainly, folks. I can certainly tell you that this gentleman has been a very pleasant caller and very loyal to the car clinic and to share information across the nation that I think it's crucial that we all know what's going on with our neighbors, whether our neighbors are in New Mexico, Pensacola, Florida, or like Mike is next up in New York, or Ann, who is next up in Montana. So, Tim, great for you. Remember, there are 2 more broadcasts before I sign off.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
You need to write a book about your learnings from people, the best and the worst, people that have called to the radio station, and just customers in general from the shop. I'm very much a reader, so you need to write a book, in my opinion.
I'll put that on my list. I haven't started a list because I'm not going to. I am not going to make a list. My wife told me 6 months ago that, Bobby, I'm concerned. Now, I'm concerned about what? Well, I'm concerned that you're going to be really concerned about what you're going to do afterwards. And I said, that is the least of my worries. That's the least of my worries because that will come. But anyway, I sure thank you, my friend. And as always, I look forward to hearing from you. I'll hear from you next week, I hope.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And if you go on the road tour, whatever, with your wife, your family, whoever, if you come by New Mexico, you guys have my number. I would very much love to speak with you, take you to dinner, get a green chili cheeseburger or something in New Mexico.
That sounds really good. Let me put you back on hold. John, let's put Tim back on hold so that Millie can get his email and his address, just in case. It'll make it easy for me to find out when I want it. Then thank you again, Tim. Now let's go back to New York. Mike, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thanks for having me on this morning.
My pleasure, man.
My question goes back to the ethanol blend gasoline.
Sure.
I've got a variety of vehicles and motorcycles and then off-road toys and stuff like that.
Okay.
From 2016 Ram 2500 with the 6.4 all the way back to a 1968 Jeep Wagoneer with the original Buick 350, which is my wife's pride and joy.
Wow, cool.
I keep on running into problems with the ethanol blend as far as when I'm working specifically on carburetors, getting either a white powdery crust in the bottom of the carburetor bowls or sometimes in the fuel lines. I've had multiple fuel pumps fail. And I've also had one occasion with lawnmower where it had like a green, thick sludge in the bottom of the carburetor.
Okay.
What can I do to prevent that? And then what works best to help clean it when it does happen?
Okay. So we had Hurricane Sally last week. I was without power in my home for 5 days. I took the generator that I bought as an 8 kW Vantage Briggs & Stratton powered generator. It's very heavy. I took it home. Actually, 2 of my team members brought it home. And it has, I bought it in 1996. It has had E10 in it since 1996. I professed to fire it once a month to keep it fresh. I've let it go 6 and 8 months and just forgot about it because it didn't give problems. And I had 5 tanks of 5 gallons of gas is what it holds. And I added a stabilizer. Fuel like the Berryman B12 Chem Tool has stabilizer. I added that, which is common sense because you add a stabilizer to straight gasoline or
E10 or E15, any gasoline, because there's a shelf life on gasoline, whether it's a blend or not. So I did that. And what I noticed was when I fired the generator and pulled the choke out, it would fire, and you push the choke back in, it would, and I'd pull the choke back out to keep it running. And I had to do that, no more than 5 times, but no less than 3 times before I could pull through any debris that had accumulated through the main jet in the carburetor. Okay, but never did I have to take it apart. To that end, it ran out of fuel because all I had was 5 gallons. So I go out there at midnight when we're going to bed, or 11 o'clock, and I take my flashlight to make sure that's why it quit, and took the cap off and looked down in the bottom of the black plastic tank, and it looked like it was a day old. It had no debris. It had absolutely nothing wrong with it. It was just out of gas. So I said all that, and I'm out of time here, so you may want to call back in the next hour because I want to be clear here. Number one, there's nothing in ethanol that will damage a vehicle that's made from 2001 forward, and I knew that I was going to be out. So, Mike, I'm going to ask you to hold, and Ann from Montana, I'm going to ask you to hold. I've got another hour coming up, and there's still much more, and I will take your calls. I'm Bobby Likis, your host. Don't go away.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, your brakes are a critical part of vehicle safety, so it's important to use quality parts. Goodyear Brakes is licensed by Goodyear, one of the world's most trusted automotive brands. They feature a new line of premium quality brake bundles, including calipers, rotors, brake pads, and all the hardware for today's most popular vehicles. GoodyearBrakes.com is the place to go for everything, providing an easy-to-use system for ordering the parts needed, all based on your vehicle's VIN and license plate and your driving needs. GoodyearBrakes.com also offers expert advice and how-to videos for DIYers doing their own work. So whether you're an accomplished mechanic or do-it-yourselfer, you can tackle your brake replacement with confidence. The Goodyear Brakes product line was developed through decades of friction science experience, advanced engineering, and thorough laboratory and on-road testing. Their brake pads feature patented Vulcan braid shims technology designed to eliminate noise during operation. And Goodyear brake rotors and calipers both receive proprietary Antiox Max coating for maximum rust and corrosion protection. Learn more at GoodyearBrakes.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulsiford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulsiford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And a special good morning, folks. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. The countdown continues. Today's show is number 2 of the final 4 broadcasts of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you tuned in last week, you already know this. But today marks the show number 2 of the final 4. Our final broadcast will be 10-10-20-20. Kind of has a ring to it. If any of you or anyone you know are interested in bidding on all of our studio equipment, to include every camera, every wire, every furniture, even the main studio, you can go to BobbyLikis.com and take a look. And you should go there anyway just to take a look at this beautiful studio that I have had the pleasure to come to you every Saturday for 29 years. BobbyLikis, Likis.com. Just go there. Podcasters, not-for-profit organizations, universities, churches, musicians, and dreamers. The equipment and studio were all chosen by me and meticulously assembled. A little more on that a little bit later in the program. Let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Millie will take your call, put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by Motorrad, a longtime OE supplier offering innovative thermostats, cap, and engine management solutions. Find Motorrad products at most fine parts stores or learn more at motorrad.com. Your calls at 888 Car Clinic when I come back. Today's vehicles face challenging conditions with more than 150 accessories for safety and comfort, such as backup cameras and entertainment systems. They're like second homes. Clarius is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries that are precision engineered to be reliable, durable, and safely meet these challenging needs. AGM batteries have up to 2 times the life of traditional batteries and are non-spillable. The next time you need a battery, ask for an AGM battery to meet today's driving and electrical demands. Visit autobatteries.com. That's autobatteries.com.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You've heard me talk about Motorrad's leading the way with automotive thermostats, fuel, oil, and coolant caps. Now, Motorrad's using their expertise in Tier 1 OEM facilities to deliver advanced engine management solutions. Products like camshaft and crankshaft sensors, ignition coils, mass airflow sensors, even variable valve timing solenoids. And Motorrad's aftermarket products are designed and manufactured to meet or exceed original equipment specifications. Learn more about Motorrad products and industry-leading application coverage at Motorrad.com.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you in part by The Battery Shop. This is such a cool site. You've got to go there. It's on YouTube, The Battery Shop, developed by Clarios. The Battery Shop, folks, features DIY videos on battery installs, technical tips and battery technology. It's just a great resource for car battery information. That's The Battery Shop on YouTube, courtesy of Clarios. And for your information, 1 in 3 cars in the world is powered by a Clarios battery. I bet you didn't know that. Let's go to New York. We're talking with, during the first hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, Mike from New York, who had some questions about ethanol and some side effects that he appears to have gotten. So Mike, you still with us?
I am.
Okay. All right. Number one, let me share this with you. And you can look this up online. Big on white papers. Mercury Outboard, and is owned by, I forget the name of the company now. It's a huge company. But Mercury, makers of more engines for motorboats and motors than any other marine applications. In 2009, as I remember, 5 of the executives from Mercury Marine, to include their technical director and their marketing director and their chemist and what have you, tested ethanol. And they say that a gas tank, and they're talking marine, which really dispels a lot of myths, a gas tank that runs ethanol will ultimately be drier than a gas tank that runs straight gasoline. Here's why. Gasoline, are you familiar with phase separation, Mike?
To some degree.
Okay. Phase separation is when you put a half a glass of water and a half a glass of alcohol and or gasoline, I'm sorry, a half a glass of gasoline and 4 ounces of ethanol, and you shake it up. The ethanol will suspend. Let me back up. I don't want to get in a hurry here. Let's take a beaker of 100 milliliters of gasoline. Let's add 10 milliliters of ethanol. Okay? So now we got 110 milliliters of liquid. Let's add 20 milliliters of gasoline, of water. Let's shake it, and then let's let it sit. And the ethanol will absorb and suspend, not absorb, it will suspend and emulsify the water. And so what you'll end up with is 10 milliliters of ethanol and 20 milliliters of water, or 30 milliliters of a mixture of ethanol and water. And that is separated from the gasoline. That's called phase separation. If you were to add 5 milliliters of water to this 100 milliliter gas and 10 milliliter ethanol mix and shake it, there would be no phase separation. It would just stay as one emulsified, burnable fuel. And when that fuel that would take the water and suspend it, and when that fuel was burned in the combustion chamber, whatever moisture was in there would just vaporize, and there would be nothing left over, which actually is cleaner than straight gasoline. And if you took, so here's the bottom line. Gasoline can suspend 0.15 teaspoons of water before gasoline phase separates. Ethanol can suspend 4 teaspoons, or 26 times more water than straight gasoline. So any gasoline tank that has a blend of ethanol that is driven and it shakes, which all cars do and boats do, will emulsify and therefore carry whatever moisture was in that tank harmlessly through the fuel system. In fact, companies like, and I'll mention the name, they're not a sponsor, Gold Eagle makes isoheat and heat. Isoheat is an antifreeze for ethanol, for gasoline. Guess what it's made of? Isopropyl alcohol. Nobody knows that. So, and if they want to sue me, let them sue me. Let them come on. But they've been selling that stuff for 40 years, and yet they still come out with an anti-ethanol that has ethanol alcohol in it. So there's so much myth, so many myths. Now, your specific problem about, let's take a carburetor-equipped vehicle. All engines operate on air-fuel ratio. And I'll give you an example, really simple. For every gallon of gasoline, an engine, like my Jag or my smart car, must have, for every gallon of gas, 9,000 gallons of air. That's a mixture. It's like you make a cake. If you make a cup of coffee and you put in one packet of fake sugar, which is what I do, but if the coffee already had sugar in it, and I put in a packet of sugar, it'd be too sweet. So therein lies a very unknown fact. Ethanol contains every molecule of ethanol contains 35% oxygen. Oxygen, that's why it's used as an oxygenant to clean up gasoline. Besides, it's 113 octane, but we don't go there. So I said all that to say this. When you have a fixed jet carbureted engine, then the amount of air that goes through and draws the fuel from the bowl is fixed because the fuel goes through a jet. Ergo, you have a fixed air-fuel ratio. But if you add ethanol to the gasoline, then the ethanol adds air. Now your fixed jet that doesn't change is flowing not only gasoline but oxygen. Therefore, the air-fuel ratio is leaned out. And when you lean out a lawnmower, it overheats the exhaust and overheats the engine, the exhaust valve. So therein lies where the real bottom line is. All of the years since John D. Rockefeller assisted heavily, financially and politically, to outlaw ethanol because he couldn't make any money on it, neither could Standard Oil, neither could we get taxes on it. They outlawed it, which is the easiest way to eliminate your competition. They couldn't figure out how to make money on ethanol because every farmer could do grain alcohol and make moonshine, which could be burned in any Ford across the nation. Therefore, they outlawed ethanol. Prohibition. That's what that was mainly about, in my opinion, and studies show that. So to that end, gasoline was the de facto fuel. And so all engines, including your engines, were tuned for gasoline since 1930s. And so when somebody says, my engine runs better on straight gasoline, well, duh, your engine was tuned to run straight gasoline. So when you put ethanol in it, if you were to tune it to run ethanol, not only would it run equally as well, it would outperform the gasoline. And I'll give you another quick example, then I really want to move on. NASCAR in 2011, I think, went to E15. There's a gentleman that I hold in high regard. He is a rocket scientist of engines. His name is Dr. Andrew Randolph, who is the engine architecture director for Earnhardt Childress Racing, NASCAR. They build 700 racing engines a year. These are $100,000 engines. When NASCAR changed from straight high-octane gasoline to E15, I asked him face-to-face, he's a friend of mine, at dinner time, and we testified before the Senate and the House for the state of Florida. I asked him, what mechanical changes, hardware, did you do when you went from E0, high-octane gasoline, to E15, high-octane blended gas. What internal hardware changes? His answer was none, zero, nada. The only thing we did was retune the timing curve and the fuel adjustment because of the oxygen in the ethanol. And so I say to you that, number one, if you look up Mercury Marine ethanol report, you'll find 30 pages and these statements. And also, I would say to you that as it is with gasoline, anytime you have a lawnmower or storage device that you don't use, you should use a stabilizer as gasoline and maintenance as gasoline and or E10, just as you would with any of the branded gasoline or E10s. I hope that answers your question. Gotta go. Electrical demands in today's vehicles include things like start-stop technology and backup cameras. Fantastic features, but they can put a strain on your battery. AGM or absorbent glass mat batteries are up to the challenge. Precision engineered to offer the ultimate combination of power, durability, and reliability. What affects battery performance? Harsh climates, frequent stopping, and aggressive driving all affect battery performance. With its compressed cell design and glass mat separators, AGM batteries are built to excel in these types of conditions. Learn more AGM advantages from Clarios at autobatteries.com. That's autobatteries.com. Cooling system repairs. We've all needed them. But what happens when the local mechanic of your garage is miles away? Situations like this were made for K-Seal, a pour-in solution that helps stop cooling system leaks. Older sealers use sodium silicate, which can clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology designed to repair the leak without clogging. Tough times create the need to be prepared. Make K-Seal part of your emergency road kit. K-Seal is available nationwide at stores like Walmart. Check walmart.com for store hours and shipping options, or go to kseal.com. With 48 years experience in automotive repair, our service team knows what dirty gasoline does inside an engine. Over time and miles, fuel residue and hot oil vapors create nasty, hardened clusters of carbon that block airflow into cylinders, collect on valves, and build up inside combustion chambers, causing hard starting, rough idle, sluggish engine performance, and bad gas mileage. Solution? Berryman B60 High Mileage Fuel System Rejuvenator. B60 cleans the entire fuel system of all high-mileage gas-powered vehicles with powerful detergents and HEST solvents. That's high-energy solvent technology at work. B60 gives you one-tank cleanup of fuel injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers. Restore lost power, reduce rough idle, improve fuel economy, and enjoy your drive again. Berryman B60 High-Mileage Fuel System Rejuvenator is the only fuel system cleaner with HEST solvents. Pick up a can at your local auto parts store today. For more, visit BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance. When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, the number 2 of the final 4 broadcasts of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Our next caller I'm going to go to is in Montana, and Ann, I'm going to ask you to hold just a minute because I have a very special announcement. All are special, but this has to do with our partner, Blaster. And Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Blaster Corporation, the makers of PB Blaster, the #1 penetrant for breaking free rusted parts. And their slogan is always use Blaster products and work it like a pro. So having said that, I want to announce, and I'm not advocating that you do this with Blaster products. I'm just going to tell you what happened to me Tuesday when Hurricane Sally came through. At 5 o'clock in the morning, I heard this big bang. The dual front doors of my house blew open. And the reason they blew open is because we're in the process of some home repairs and actually adding a studio office to our home. And when the workers brought in a 130-inch granite slab Monday, the week before the hurricane, through the double doors, they forgot to pin the stationary door. You know, you've got one door on the double doors that has pins that go up in the top and down. John, you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Well, if you don't pin those doors, all you got to do is, you can lock the door on the deadbolt, but you just push on the door and it opens, right? 5:30 in the morning, folks. I hear this noise. I get out of bed and the door flew open. It broke a pot that my wife had brought in off the front porch, and there was dirt and mud and flowers and potted plant, the pottery, which wasn't like glass, but it's big pieces of white pottery, and the wind blowing, and we're talking anywhere from 60 to 100 mile an hour wind into the foyer onto a 40-year-old grandfather clock that was a 100-year anniversary that I bought my first wife, who passed of cancer, in 1980. Then I take care of this clock like I would her if she were still here. The wind and the rain saturated that 96 100-year-old 100 anniversary Sly Furniture clock. I pushed on one door. My wife, Diane, held the other door. I finally pinned the stationary door and against the wind and the rain and got it shut. I turned around and looked at the clock. The bottom of the clock that is made of 5 different woods, and I don't know much about wood, but there's all sorts of black piano and 5 woods, had turned gray from the water intrusion into the clock. I said, what to do? I tried to dry it, but I dried it and it was still gray. I went into the garage and I got PB Blaster, and I PB blastered the entire 96-inch tall grandfather clock, because that chemical displaces water. If it works for rust, I figured it couldn't hurt the clock. And besides, in my opinion, after 40 years of coveting this clock, it was already gone anyway. Within 1 hour, it displaced the water and the gray turned back to beautiful wood. And there's still a slight dullness on the surface that I'm going to polish, but I'm letting that PB Blaster soak. I'm not saying that PB Blaster would tell you to put it on your grandfather clock, but it worked for me. And I'm so happy that it's like, where'd you get this genius of an idea? My cousin told me when I talked to him, when he called, said, how are you guys doing over there with Sally? I told him about that story. He said, where'd you get that idea? I said, well, those chemicals displace water and displace rust. How can I possibly get the water out of the wood surface of this clock? And I sprayed it. So there's my story. And so I am hooked on Blaster products, and I love them. And I've saved a clock that means as much to me as my deceased first wife from cancer. So there's my story, and I won't repeat it again, but it's a true story. Thank you so much for allowing me the time to share that with you. Let's go to Montana. Ann, thank you so much for holding. I appreciate you.
Hi, Bobby.
Hi. You're on the air.
I was calling, first of all, to see if you know where I could find a Porsche 911 Y-Sock.
You're kidding me, of
but
course.
After hearing your story about the grandfather clock, this is your daughter, Misty.
Oh my God, Misty. That is so fantastic. Folks, let me tell you something. Misty, you sound so fabulous. She was on the operating room 5 hours yesterday. How are you?
I'm great, Dad. I just was calling to give you a little jingle, but I just kind of got choked up there. And then the gentleman who mentioned that you should write a book about your family and take your family, not just your wife, to visit him. I think that's a great idea. I'm free, just so you know.
So you're free, cancer-free?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm free to go on this little trip.
Well, folks, the reason I didn't know this was Misty because her name is Misty Ann Likis, and so there's this Ann from Montana. You're not from Montana. You're from O'Fallon, St. Louis, from Missouri. So,
yeah.
you trickster.
I was
I'll
just
get
calling
you.
to say, where can I find my 911 Y-Sock?
Well, a gentleman named Mark Brown in Connecticut sent me a picture 2 weeks ago, and he's the one that bought that car. And I'll tell you, again, I have to apologize to you publicly here. I didn't share with you because, folks, Misty for years, I owned this car for 35 years, says, Dad, that's my car, that's my car. So recently I took a trip to St. Louis, first trip since COVID, since 19, only trip since January of 19. And that's the only point of bone of contention that I had with you, sweetheart, what you said, Dad, you should have told me. And I should have told you, but I didn't have the guts, I guess, to tell you. I was selling the car. But here's the good news. Number one, it takes a lot of time and energy and a place to store a car like that properly.
Yep.
And number two, I did find Mike Brown, and he's got a daughter who is 12 years old, who is going to be an Olympic skier. Really, I believe that. Remember that name. Olivia Brown's her name. And his wife's name was Barbara. And he loves the car, and he's taking great care of it. And so I'm happy, but I'm even more happy that you're free. How long were you on the table yesterday?
About 5 hours, but the doctor just walked in, so I'm going to let you go to your show, and I love you, and I'll call you later.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, bye, Dad.
We go to Tom in South Carolina. Tom, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, thank you. Happy to hear you're retiring, but I'm going to miss the show.
Yeah, I hear you. Likewise, man. What can I do for you?
Well, I got a 2007 Dodge Ram half-ton 5.7 liter, the Hemi. The check engine light keeps coming on, and it's always low oil pressure. We've changed the sensor, and the motor sounds great. This has been going on for a while. It's got 120,000 on it. My mechanic said we could change the screen and the pump to the tune of a little over 800. He said, but then it could be a camshaft also, and there's no way to tell. Normally happens, believe it or not, when I'm sitting at the boat ramp backed in when it's cold. I fired it up because we're pulling off the lake, and it's sitting at a little bit of an angle with the AC on it.
Right.
And then it comes on. I'll reset it when I get home, and then it'll go for quite a while. Every once in a while, it'll come on under normal driving operations, but most of the time when it's at the ramp. Any idea, especially about the camshaft?
No, I'm not familiar with the camshaft issue. That besides, the camshaft wouldn't cause low oil pressure. Crankshaft would cause low oil pressure.
Yeah.
Rod bearings, main bearings, that's where the biggest leakers are. If you had a lifter that was broken or otherwise bad, it would leak enough oil possibly, but there's not that much oil that goes to the lifters. And it would affect more than just one lifter if it had that low of oil pressure. Here's what I would do. Here's a long shot, okay, but it's better than taking the engine apart. And by the way, I want you to know this. In 2007, the Hemi, Chrysler had an issue with that, and that issue was the valve seats would fall out. And when they did, it would destroy the engine, because the valve seat would break, and it was made out of stellite, and the stellite's a very hard metal that was used once the unleaded fuels came out in the 70s, 71 to whatever that era. So here's what I would do if I owned your vehicle. I wouldn't. Can you pull the oil cap and look down in the motor? Can you see, or is it baffled?
I've never looked down in it before.
Well, do that. Take the oil breather cap, the oil filler cap off, and look down in the cap. And I believe you can see. There may be a baffle, so if it is, you can't tell. But what I'd like to know is how much muck and yuck and solidified oil is on the valve covers and the engine.
Well, the oil has. You can't see down in there, but the oil from the time I bought it has always been clean. As a matter of fact, I found his log in the glove compartment, and
Right.
he religiously changed the oil every 3,000 miles.
Okay, so here's what I would do if I were you. There's a product that what I'm trying to do is give you now not a pour and pray. Pour and prays are companies that make additives, and car owners buy the additive that's got an engine problem, and they pour the chemical in a tank and pray it fixes. That's pour and pray. And so that's kind of an inside joke. But the bottom line is additives are good, but they're application sensitive. You know, you wouldn't put a radiator water wetter in the gas, and you wouldn't put a octane booster in the radiator. So, I mean, that you say, well, that's typical. So there is a product that is made by Berryman. And I would tell you, but John's running the music, so I got to go. So Tom, Carol, Dale, and everyone, stay right there. This is really important. I'll be back. This Pro project is brought to you by Blaster and their new Pro Straw, featuring control flow technology. Folks, wheel alignment's an important part of vehicle maintenance. Proper alignment provides better handling and also extends tire life. But in some areas of the country, roads suffer from harsh winter climate, and salt damage is tough on steering linkages and suspension components, causing rust. Rust never sleeps, and it becomes evident when you try to make adjustments to tie rods or even caster and camber components. But there's a solution. PB Blaster Penetrant and its new Pro Straw, featuring control flow technology. When aligning the front end, be sure to apply Blaster using the convenient Pro Straw to tie rod adjusters and any fasteners that allow alignment changes. Blaster will make them easier to loosen and move. And using Blaster's new Pro Straw provides the ability to apply penetrant only where needed, ultimately making the job cleaner and more efficient. PB Blaster is available at home, auto, or hardware stores near you. Work it like a pro with Blaster products. For more information, go to blastercorp.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease. And she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're talking with Tom, who has an 07 Dodge Hemi with low oil pressure, especially when he's at the boat ramp. Now, Tom, I'm not familiar with the oil pump location on the Hemi, or where the sump is in the front of the engine or in the back. That depends on the motor design. I do know. So go ahead.
They're telling me it's towards the front of the motor.
Okay, good. That's encouraging, because on a GM, now if you had a 07 GM, I know exactly what was wrong, and it's been many a GM owner that has purchased a used or new engine because of low oil pressure after a couple 100,000 miles, when it really wasn't the engine at all. It was nothing more than the O-ring seal. You see, the oil pump on, now we're not talking about your Dodge Hemi, but we're talking about a GM V8. The oil pump is driven by the front of the crankshaft. So the oil pump is in the front of the engine. Well, how does it get oil from the bottom of the pan to the front of the engine? It has a pickup tube that's about 18 inches long and all curved and goes down with a little screen that is in the bottom of the sump, like one big straw. And then it plugs into the bottom of the block, and it has a bolt, a flange that holds it. Where it plugs into the block, that's into a port that feeds the suction side of the pump. That O-ring gets brittle and allows air to get in, and it will suck air, just like when you smoke a cigarette. If you poke a hole in the side, you don't smoke. It just sucks air, because it's easier to draw air than it is to draw oil or whatever. So in a GM, I would say you needed a new O-ring, which is a simple fix, and I've saved a lot of people thousands of dollars. Having said that, if your oil pump is in the front, which it is, and you can prove to yourself and to me that a boat ramp, when you back at an angle, then it tells me that the oil pressure issue that is exacerbated by the ramp angle is not the oil pump, because the pump doesn't know whether it's upside. Well, it knows if it's upside down, but it doesn't know angles from level. But if the tube is plugged into, and if the oil pump is mounted on the engine, not mounted on the bottom of the engine where the oil pump sticks into the oil, but even so, the oil pump that's on it will have a tube that's bolted to it. It is possible that the oil pump gasket, where that pickup tube flange bolts onto the pump, if it's an external pump in the pan, it's possible that there's a vacuum leak there, or a hole in the pipe, or which I doubt, or a gasket. So it warrants, because you can make this happen, and I'm basing all of this on the fact that you told me that when you back in, the oil pressure is affected. If you can prove that, then it warrants removing the oil pan and either replacing the pickup tube or the pump. And I would remind you that when you replace the pump, do not add an extra volume or extra pressure pump. Go back with the factory spec pump. Melling makes great pumps. We use them in the aftermarket. You can get them at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Melling. They're world renowned for oil pumps, and they make all kinds of adjustable pumps. You don't want any all kind. You want the OEM pressure factory pump, and there's a reason for that, and I won't go into that. So what I would do if I were you is I would pull the pan, pay the money, have them replace the oil pump and pickup screen unless they find a hole or a gasket or an O-ring seal, and then you could put the same pump back in. It ain't going to hurt, and it's going to go another 100,000 miles. So that's what I would do. Now, if none of that is applicable, if you have the same problem when it's on level ground, which still could be the same issue, there is a chemical that Berryman makes, and Berryman products, it's called B60 Engine Oil Rejuvenator.
and it is a cleaner, it is an emulsifier, it is a purge product that helps to eliminate any pickup or any strainer restriction or dissolve sludge, et cetera, et cetera. So that's something that you could try without any ramifications before you pay the $800 for the pan removal. So that's what my first instruction is, to go to O'Reilly Auto Parts or Walmart. Walmart's got the product too. Or go to berrymanproducts.com and get the B60 engine oil rejuvenator, and you do your own rejuvenator following the instructions. If that makes no difference, then you pay the $800 for the pan removable. But just know this: sooner or later, the possibility is that engine's going to have a valve seat, nothing to do with the oil, drop, and when it does, it's going to destroy the engine, and then you'll have to get a replacement engine. So that's what I would share with you. Hey, thanks for your call, and I know that I've helped you. I'm going to be here 2 more weeks, so you can try the Rejuvenator this week and get back with me next week or the following final week to let me know if it helps. Got it?
All right. Enjoy your retirement, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Let's go to Carol in New York. Carol, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
God bless you. Thank you, Bobby.
You're welcome.
When you were talking about motor and engine, I did want to ask a question about leaded gasoline and Christie dry gas, but these insurance companies, these repair insurance companies,
yes,
they always refer to motor or engine. And I love to say this to people: the dumbest question asked the dumbest question is the one not asked.
Right. Yeah,
So,
yeah. You've been reading my mail.
I love to quote you.
Yeah.
So, is there a difference when they're quoting these people that took part of the insurance? They say motor or engine. Is there a difference?
Yes.
No kidding.
Yeah. There's a difference. Well, no, yes, and no. So a dear friend of mine, Chris Bithos, a good Greek boy who owned the Angus restaurant for years and years and years, who's not doing well now, but I love him and he's a good friend. I was talking. He heard me on the radio one day. He said, "Hey, Greek boy," he said, "What did you? Don't you know the difference between the engine and the motor?" And of course, in the racing, we talk about the motor. The motor, is it on the bottle, which means is it on nitrous oxide and what have you. But engines in cars are not motors. A motor is an electric-driven motor, like a blower fan. That's a motor. An engine is not a motor, but a slang in the industry, you can call it a motor. The motor in my Jag is a V8 internal combustion engine. It's a motor, but really it's an engine, technically. So vernacularly, it crosses all lines. Like pedal to the metal. What does that mean? I told my wife one day, get the pedal to the metal. And she is she should have been dean of Harvard. She is so grammatically correct. I'm serious.
I'm the same way.
She did not understand what pedal to the metal meant. She didn't know. I couldn't believe that. Pedal to the metal, you don't know. No, what does that mean, pedal to the metal? It means that you mash the accelerator pedal all the way to the floor. Anyway, so motors...
Or tell someone to hurry up.
Yeah. Motors refer to electrically operated motors. Engines refer to gasoline and or diesel engines. So, but then again, we could say that the software that we're using to transfer this audio to Westwood One is the engine that we use to drive the show. We could say that, and we wouldn't use the motor, but it would be, we could say engine. So I know there's a lot of different ways that you could express that. But for you to know, motor and engine with regard to some insurance claims, it's all the same thing. I mean, they're referring to the engine, unless it is the blower motor, and then you wouldn't say it's the air conditioned blower engine, because that's not right. You got it?
That is very interesting.
It is very
I was
interesting.
Also mention the dry gas, Christie dry gas. When you start
what dry gas?
Ethanol.
You know what dry gas is? Isopropyl alcohol.
That's what I was going to ask.
It is. It's isopropyl. Look at the MSDS. Remember this, folks. MSDS. MSDS is the government birth certificate of all chemical products that are sold, and the seller of the marketer, whether it's Berryman or Gold Eagle or BG, they must publish it's like the center of disease. They must publish what's in that stuff. Now, they're proprietary additives. They don't have to publish, but you should go just look up Berryman and search MSDS, and a company that is upright and upstanding will have the MSDS, which is kind of like tells what they put in that stuff. And that is a legal requirement. The MSDS, and it stands for the data sheet. The MS, I don't know what this stands for. Look it up.
Manufacturer something.
I don't know.
Data
Look it up, Jonathan, and so I can announce that in the 5 minutes we have left on this 2 hours. But anyway, Carol, dry gas, ISO heat. I mean, Gold Eagle made these products, and they may sue me.
Well, when you start
Okay,
talking
wait. All right, MSDS stands for Material Safety Data Sheet. MSDS, and it's government mandated, and so if you go to ISO heat, you will see that its main ingredient is isopropyl alcohol. Yet that same company, as does BG Products, and as does a lot of the chemical companies, offer a ethanol treatment for your engine.
Well, I know when
They've
they
been
went to
selling
unleaded gas.
those companies. Companies have been selling ethanol for 40 years. It's isopropyl alcohol. Alcohol is alcohol. Granted, it's different. Anyway, enough of that. But one more word from you, then I got to go another call.
Well, I know when they went to unleaded gasoline, they said to not use the Christie dry gas. And now when you talked about the ethanol suspending the water, maybe that was the reason why they said not to use the dry gas anymore in the unleaded gasoline.
That's because you don't need to, because you got alcohol.
Exactly.
Duh. So how simple this all becomes when the truth comes out. That and what is it? And Diane just walked in the other office. She can't hear me, but she has this lies can be told. Jonathan, would you go walk in and ask her what that is? I want to quote that on the air. Anyway, Carol, I love you. Stay tuned because I got
love
a little words of wisdom coming up. Let's go to Dale. Dale's got a 2013 GMC Terrain. Dale, running short on time. How may I help you?
Yes, sir. When I idle at a stop sign or a traffic signal, the RPM drops, and then it'll surge back up, and then it'll drop again and surge back up.
Okay.
Just a continuous thing.
Okay. GM products have engines, not motors. By the way, GM engines have a throttle speed motor that controls the speed of the engine. Now, there's an application that Carol would like. And that throttle control motor could be defective and causing that erratic idle. Having said that, there are other causes, too, that could be a false air, like a tracheotomy is a way to get air in the engine without opening your mouth in your body. Well, that's a way to get air in an engine, and that's what speeds up and slows down the idle on an engine. In other words, if you got an engine that's idling at 1,000 RPM and you turn the air conditioner headlights on, put it in gear, it's going to slow it down to 700 RPM. But without moving the throttle, the engine has a motor that it opens and allows outside air into the engine to pick up the RPM. And so check the throttle, have a throttle body cleaning performed, and typical things before you start replacing parts. Hey, thanks for your call, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. God bless you.
Okay. All right. So the truth, it's about the quote that I was trying to remember, folks, is the truth versus lies that are told often enough soon become facts. That's what I'm talking about. Ask her about that. Okay. Let's go to Jesse, aka Jeff, in New York. Good morning, Jesse.
Hey, Bobby.
30 seconds.
The last song I heard was "Don't Tell Me No Lies." And keep your hands to yourself.
Okay. We are short of time, so what's up?
Where was Goodyear Brakes, the CEO, when you were here at Shangri-La Speedway in Owego? Because there was no such thing as anti-lock brakes, because last time I knew, yours locked up.
Well, no, ours didn't lock up. They didn't have any brakes because we were on Shangri-La, which is a level, and we had drum brakes, and they overheated, and they faded and went away, and that was in 1980, and my driver came in and said, I don't have any brakes, and I jacked it up and went and beat on the backing plate, which did nothing, and I told him, you're okay now, and he went back out, and after he almost ran over somebody, he came back in, he said, you lied to me. I said, well, what was I going to tell you? I just wanted you to get back out there and be safe. I got to go, Jesse. Thank you for your call. Next week, call me next week earlier. Okay, folks, here's my closing for the show. Blaster, I mentioned that earlier. OAP, our friends at O'Reilly Auto Parts have a message for you, and I would like for you to hear this now.
O'Reilly Auto Parts is dedicated to serving you. We've been deemed an essential business, so our doors will stay open. We encourage you to buy online, then pick up curbside. Together, we're committed to getting through this.
Thank you from O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Insurance 101, courtesy of Grundy Insurance. Uninsured motorist liability and underinsured motorist liability are both important aspects of vehicle insurance, as they can protect you against an at-fault driver who is not insured or doesn't have enough insurance. Important to note that... Okay, so that's the final commercial of this broadcast, but I've got 2 broadcasts to go. Here's the quote: lies repeated often enough become perceived as the truth. Remember that. When someone tells you something and you're not quite sure if it was a truth or not. Lies repeated often enough become perceived as the truth. Don't let that happen to you. If somebody tells you something, ask them where they got the information. Now we can go back to the end of the program. See you next week, folks. Your products are so underrated. This stuff flat out works and you can't beat the price. Thank you for making such a great product. Learn more about Berryman products and their HESS technology at berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, it starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me with